Barry Eichengreen's Globalizing Capital, A History of the International Monetary System offers a sweeping yet concise narrative of how the international monetary system evolved from the 19th century to the present day. The book provides deep insight into the mechanisms that bind national economies to global finance, tracing how currencies, exchange rates, and monetary policy have shaped, and been shaped by, the movement of capital across borders. Eichengreen begins by exploring the classical gold standard of the late 19th century, a time when fixed exchange rates and gold convertibility gave the illusion of stability and predictability in international finance. This period, while often romanticized as a golden age of global economic harmony, relied heavily on political discipline and limited democratic accountability, especially as governments prioritized currency stability over domestic economic goals. As the book progresses, Eichengreen examines the disruptions caused by World War I and the economic chaos that followed. The interwar period marked a time of deep instability. Attempts to return to the gold standard after the war proved disastrous, as economic conditions and political pressures had dramatically shifted. Countries were no longer willing to sacrifice employment and economic growth to maintain fixed exchange rates. The result was competitive devaluations, protectionist policies, and a series of financial crises that culminated in the Great Depression. Eichengreen highlights how the failure to adapt monetary policy to new political realities played a critical role in the collapse of international cooperation during this time. The emergence of the Bretton Woods system in the aftermath of World War II is portrayed as a pivotal moment in the history of global finance. Designed to avoid the failures of the interwar period, this system established a framework for fixed but adjustable exchange rates, capital controls, and international institutions like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The US dollar, backed by gold, became the central currency of the new system. Eichengreen describes how this arrangement offered a compromise between the rigidities of the gold standard and the chaotic floating rates of the 1930s. It allowed governments to pursue full employment and growth while maintaining a degree of currency stability. However, the Bretton Woods system was not without its flaws. Over time, the growing imbalance between the supply of US dollars and the gold reserves backing them led to questions about the system's sustainability. As global capital mobility increased and the US began to run persistent deficits, confidence in the dollar's convertibility eroded. Eichengreen provides a detailed analysis of how this imbalance led to speculative pressures, culminating in the collapse of Bretton Woods in the early 1970s when the United States abandoned the gold standard. In the post-Bretton Woods era, countries shifted toward flexible exchange rates and increasingly liberalized capital markets. This transition marked the beginning of what Eichengreen refers to as the era of financial globalization. With fewer restrictions on capital flows, markets became more integrated and reactive. Nations could no longer isolate themselves from the ripple effects of global finance. While this new environment offered opportunities for growth, it also introduced heightened risks, especially for emerging economies susceptible to capital flight and currency crises. Eichengreen emphasizes the tension between national monetary sovereignty and global financial integration. Policymakers are now tasked with managing economies in a world where capital can move instantly across borders, often destabilizing local economies in the process. He discusses the implications of this tension through the lens of various crises in Latin America, East Asia, and Europe, revealing how domestic and international pressures converge in moments of instability. The 1990s, in particular, are portrayed as a time of painful lessons, where financial liberalization outpaced regulatory safeguards. One of the key themes in the book is the idea that no international monetary system is ever perfect or permanent. Each reflects the political and economic realities of its time. Eichengreen argues that successful systems are those that manage to align the interests of major economic powers while providing sufficient flexibility to adapt to change. When that alignment breaks down, so too does the system. His analysis of the euro and the European Monetary Union explores these issues in detail, especially in light of the eurozone crisis, where a common currency revealed deep structural and political divides. Throughout the book, Eichengreen makes a case for the importance of institutions, both domestic and international, in managing monetary relations. He contends that without effective institutions, financial globalization is likely to be more volatile and harmful than beneficial. The IMF, while often criticized, plays a crucial role in crisis management and maintaining a degree of global financial order. However, the book also stresses the need for institutional reform to ensure these bodies can keep pace with the evolving global economy. Eichengreen's writing is clear and accessible, even when explaining complex monetary concepts. He avoids jargon and uses historical narrative to illuminate theory, which makes the book valuable not only to economists but also to historians, policymakers, and general readers interested in how the global financial system works. His ability to tie historical episodes to contemporary concerns gives the book a lasting relevance, particularly in an age of economic uncertainty and political fragmentation. He also explores the role of the United States as a monetary hegemon, especially in the post-war period. The dominance of the dollar has granted the U.S. certain privileges, like borrowing cheaply and setting global standards, but it has also imposed responsibilities and vulnerabilities. Eichengreen questions whether any other currency, like the euro or Chinese yuan, might one day supplant the dollar, and what conditions would make that possible. He suggests that global trust, political stability, and deep financial markets are as essential as economic size in determining a currency's international role. The final chapters delve into the challenges of the 21st century, such as the digitalization of finance, the rise of cryptocurrencies, and the growing importance of China. Eichengreen is cautious but thoughtful in considering how these developments might reshape the global monetary landscape. He acknowledges that while technology is transforming finance, the underlying political and institutional questions remain the same. Who controls the currency? Who absorbs the shocks? Who sets the rules? Rather than offering a single prescription for the future, Eichengreen encourages readers to understand the trade-offs and dilemmas inherent in any monetary system. Stability often comes at the cost of flexibility, and integration at the cost of control. He warns against nostalgia for past systems like the gold standard or Bretton Woods, which worked under specific historical conditions that no longer exist. Instead, he advocates for pragmatic solutions that respond to current realities. The book ultimately underscores the idea that international monetary arrangements are not just technical systems, they are reflections of political choices and power structures. The ability of countries to cooperate, compromise, and build institutions is just as important as economic theory in determining success. Eichengreen is particularly attentive to the lessons of history, urging policymakers to avoid past mistakes while acknowledging that new challenges will always emerge. In the end, Globalizing Capital serves as both a chronicle of past efforts to manage the global economy and a warning for the future. It challenges the reader to think critically about the foundations of global financial stability and the importance of balancing national goals with international obligations. The book doesn't offer easy answers, but it equips readers with the tools to ask better questions about how the world manages money.